Hello, welcome, namaste, friends, yogis, to your yoga class. My name is Maria, and today I have an energizing, warming yoga flow for you. It's perfect to do in the winter whenever it's foggy outside, whenever you're cold and just need to build a little bit of fire within you. This yoga class is geared at helping you ground, especially in those winter months where a lot of the vata or kapha energy, which is a lot of airy, dry weather energy, might have you feeling a little maybe up in the air, or the kapha energy might have you feeling a little bit down. Hopefully these poses will help get you energized and ready to start your day and just give you a little bit more motivation in your day-to-day. Feel free to come back to this as often as you'd like throughout the winter and share it with someone who you think might enjoy it. We're going to begin in a seated position. All you're going to need is your clothes and a mat, maybe get into something comfy so you can move around a little bit. But once you're there, just meet me in this seated position. Legs can be one in front of the other, or you can bring them cross, whatever feels good for you right now. We're going to stay in here for a few breaths. Take a big inhale in and a big exhale out, big cleansing breath. Start to notice your breath. Just observe as you're seated here. Option to close the eyes to tune inward a little bit more. And just let this natural awareness, this natural attention that you're bringing to your breath, naturally start to deepen it. So maybe start to breathe into the low belly now. And exhaling out through the nose, letting go of all the air, deflating your entire chest as well. Try to make your inhales and exhales of equal length. We'll stay here for a few more minutes, just tuning in to any sensations, tuning into your breath, into yourself as you get centered here and grounded. One more big breath in. And exhale to release. Lift your arms up towards the sky, fingertips reach up, and we're going to do a little forearm warm up here. So it's going to seem maybe not like it's that much in the beginning, but it is going to grow to be a lot more. So extend your hands out, palms face the front, and then make a quick fist. And then open up your hands to show out your palms, and then make a quick fist. And then kind of push like you're trying to like shake some water out of your hands. So push them open and then close. And push and close. Now we're going to add our breath to it. So inhale on the open. Exhale on the push, and just a quick exhale like that. So you don't have to breathe all the way in, just quick inhales and exhales through the nose. So we're going to start on our next open palm. So inhale, exhale. Feel free to let go of the breath if you've had enough. And then speed up your hands a little bit more, just kind of shaking it out. Your fists don't even have to go into a full fist here, just that action. Do it for 5 more breaths. Normal breaths. Okay. Whew. Shake your hands out. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of just energy to help you get started into this flow. Once you're ready, cross your ankles and then come forward, arc forward onto your knees and come into a tabletop position. Tuck your toes under or keep the tops of your feet under. Stack your wrist underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And then start to drop the belly. Rotate your elbows so your elbow tips towards one another as your inner elbows rotate towards the front of the room, towards the front of the mat. Pull the chest forward in between the arms and pull the ears away from the shoulder tips. Lift the tailbone up. Take a big inhale here. Make this your first cow pose. And then on the exhale, start to tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, pull your belly button up into your chest and push away from the mat with your hands. So your shoulder blades are going to either side of your torso now, your upper back. On your next inhale, drop the belly, drop the chest, pull the collarbones forward, lift the tailbone. Option to lift the chin here slightly, look forward. And then exhale, tuck the chin to the chest, tailbone faces down to the space in between your knees. Inhale for cow pose, drop the belly, lift the tailbone. And exhale for cat pose. Just a few more of those, moving with your own breath. So we'll do that for 3 more breath cycles. 3 more cycles of cat-cow, and now it's 2. And then when you're ready, return to neutral. So bring your back just straight, not concave or not down or up. Just neutral. Tuck the toes under. Plant the hands a little bit farther away from where they were, so a little bit ahead of your shoulders. Ground down through all 10 knuckles, especially that pointer finger, knuckle, and thumb, so you're pushing into the inside of that hand as your arm is rotating outwards, finding a little bit of torque here. So you're finding a little bit of twisting in the arm to keep your arms and your wrists and your shoulders stable. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees, inhale, and then exhale up to downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet here. Start getting a little bit of a stretch through the hamstrings. Bending one knee and then the other. Lifting the heels here as much as you need to, keeping a slight bend in both of your knees as you start to return to neutral. Heels are energetically drawing towards the earth, but they don't have to be touching. And then, like I said, knees can be bent, but start to pull your sitting bones away from your heels to try to straighten through the back of the legs while keeping that alignment and keeping your tailbone reaching up to the sky. Shoulders or your biceps are by your ears, so your ears and your head is nestled in between your arms. Take a big inhale, and then exhale to start to walk your feet just a little bit, maybe 2 steps forward each. And then bring your legs wide as the mat. So we're coming into this combination of a maybe forward fold, wide-legged forward fold, or just a downward facing dog. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Ground down into your right hand. Take a big inhale into the low belly. And then exhale, take your left hand, lift it up, and start twisting, grab onto your right ankle or your right thigh or your right torso, whatever you can reach here and whatever feels good. Take another big breath in and exhale. Bring your left arm beside your right hand again. Take another big inhale. And then on the exhale, start to twist over to the left side, bringing your right hand to your left ankle or to your left thigh or left torso. Staying here for 1 more breath. And exhale completely, bring your hand beside your left hand, and then continue to tiptoe your feet up to meet your hands at the front of the mat. Coming into a forward fold, your feet can be hip width apart or they can be touching. Relax your torso over your thighs. Make sure you're bending at the hips, so try to get your low belly to touch the tops of your thighs just a little bit, so that action, that motion. Option to grab opposite elbows for ragdoll here. Slight bend in the knees, but again, try to lift the sitting bones away from the heels. On your next inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or your thighs and lift your torso up halfway. Tuck your chin in slightly. Stay here for the exhale. Another big breath in when you're ready. And then on your next exhale, fold back over to forward fold. From here, bring your toes to touch and bring your heels slightly apart, or they don't have to touch. They can even be hip width apart, but just try to get your toes to come in just slightly. Not a 45-degree angle, but maybe just enough to get the outer edges of the feet parallel with the mat. Start to sink your hips into an imaginary chair as you stack your knees over top of your ankles. Push down into all 4 corners of the feet. Bring your hands onto your hips or Anjali Mudra, prayer pose, or option to just sweep them up, down, and up to help you lift your torso up off of your thighs, coming into a chair pose. Staying in that seated position, you can come up a little bit, you can come down and sink in as much as you want to. Try to be able to get your knees so that you can still see your toes, so they don't have to be directly over top of your ankles, but look down and just make sure that you can still see your toes. Stay strong here, lift your arms up to the sky, or option for Anjali Mudra at the heart center. Reach the crown of the head up towards the sky, tuck the chin just a little bit to lengthen through the back of the neck. Inhale, and then exhale to straighten out. Bring your feet back to face towards the front. And then step one foot back. It doesn't matter which one. You're coming to face the long side of your mat. So maybe if you want to face me, step that foot back. Bring your feet about legs width apart, so wider than hip width apart. And then again, tuck your toes in just slightly to get the outer edges of the feet in line with the short sides of the mat. From here, bring your hands onto your hips and start to bend over slowly, coming into a halfway lift, kind of like we did with that forward fold, just in a wide-legged forward fold. Option to drop the hands wherever they are here or to keep them onto your hips. We're only staying here for another breath. Inhale. And then exhale, use the strength in your core and in your back and legs to kind of help yourself lift that torso back up. So we're gonna do it again, but this time option to interlace your hands behind your low back to lift the chest. Tuck the chin here just a little, don't overextend. Draw the palms together, draw the knuckles down towards the earth. Big inhale. And then on your next exhale, start to fold at the hips, coming into a 90-degree angle with your torso and your legs, bringing your torso parallel to the floor. Take another inhale, and then use the exhale to take it all the way down. Fold completely over your legs as far as you can, as much as you can. Slight bend in the knees here, but try to keep the hips stacked over the ankles. So like in that same line, try not to bump your hips back too much. One more inhale, and then exhale to slowly bring your torso back up to halfway. Release your arms if you haven't already, and then bring your torso up all the way. Squeeze your glutes, slight bend in the knees to protect your low back here. And then turn your feet to face outward. So actually 45-degree angle now. They're pointing towards the corners of your mat or just outward. Heels point in, hands on your hips. And then start to sink your hips like you're going to sit in another imaginary chair, but this time imagine the chair's here and your legs are just wide. You're squatting the chair. Go to wherever you can, wherever feels good, keeping your knees stacked over top of your ankles, coming into a goddess pose. Your hands can be on your hips, they can be in Anjali Mudra at heart center, arms up towards the sky, or just arms resting on your thighs or knees. Stay here for one more inhale, and then on the exhale, use that to push and pulse yourself up. Stay here and reground down through all four corners of your feet, especially that outer edge of the feet, the ball of the foot, the back of the foot, just all four edges, especially the toes as well. And we'll start to sink in again, bend the knees, coming into a goddess pose. This time, take your hands to your knees or your thighs. You're gonna stay strong here. Take an inhale, lift your chest. And on the exhale, drop your right shoulder towards the center as you start to turn your torso a little bit over toward the left side. So feel free to just kind of drop it. Feel free to move your hands to whatever feels good. But this is the position we're going for, just in a goddess pose and a slight twist with our torso. Option to look up towards the sky or to look back behind you past your left shoulder. Come back to center, keeping your knees bent here, staying in that goddess pose. Inhale into the low belly, and then exhale. Left shoulder drops in towards center. Your torso and your chest start to twist over, open to the right side. Take a big inhale, maybe lift the gaze up, or just look past your right shoulder. And back to center. Straighten out through the legs. And that was a little bit of a warm-up. We're gonna do that 2 more times on each side. This time we're just gonna go through it, not gonna get up. On the next, so take a big inhale, reground, recenter. And then on your next exhale, bend your knees. Hands onto your thighs. Inhale. And then exhale to drop your right shoulder in. Take another inhale. Take another exhale. And then come back to center. Reground, inhale. And then use the exhale to twist in. One more inhale. And then come back to center. And then we'll do it on the other side. Use the exhale to twist. Open up and twist. And then straighten out through the legs. Lift your torso back up. Good job, everyone. That was a little tricky. And then start to turn your toes towards the front of the mat and step your right foot forward again. Coming into mountain pose, lift your arms up to the sky. Option to bring your palms a touch up above you. And then grab your right wrist with your left hand and start to take your right fingertips to reach over to the left side. So coming into this mountain pose side stretch, getting a little bit of a gentle stretch through the right side of your torso. Inhaling, expanding the ribs like an accordion. Exhaling, as if you were blowing out a birthday candle, pull all your ribs in. One more inhale, and one more exhale. Return back to center, switch your grip, left hand grabs, or right hand grabs onto left wrist, and then take your left fingertips over to the right side. Inhale, expanding your ribs like an accordion. Exhale, blowing out a birthday candle. One more time, up, arms up to the sky, coming back to neutral, and then take it over to the left side once again. Ground down through your right foot and plug that right shoulder back. Back up to center. And then switch your grip and then take your hands over to the right side as you as you lengthen through the left side of your torso. Push your left foot down into the mat and then plug your left shoulder back just a little bit. On your next inhale, lift your arms up to the sky, look up, and then exhale to tuck the chin slightly. Keep your gaze down, straight ahead as you start to forward fold, bending your knees, folding over the hips, hinging at the hips. Returning to this forward fold. From here, walk your feet out as wide as the mat and turn your toes to face outward. Fingertips can stay on the mat here or wherever they are, and then slowly start to sink your sitting bones to reach towards your heels. Your fingertips can come onto the ground whenever you need it, and start to maybe lift your heels here if that feels good. We're trying to avoid a curve in our back like this. So whatever position you can get to, if maybe it was a little bit before this where your heels were lifted, where your back can be straight, return to that position or to that alignment that allows your back to be straight here. Your hands can stay on the floor or they can come into Anjali Mudra at heart center. Push your elbows out in towards your knees and your knees in towards your elbows. So they're pushing against each other, finding a little bit of activation in your hips. Tuck your chin and lift the crown of the head up towards the sky to lengthen a little more through your back. One more inhale. And then release your hands back behind you and release your sitting bones to the ground, to the earth. From here, you're going to tuck your hands back behind you, so behind your hips, behind your sitting bones. Take your fingers to point to either side of the mat, so out towards the long sides of your mat. Your elbows are pointing in. Start to bring your shoulder blades to touch as you start to lift your chest up towards the sky. If this is enough for you, feel free to stay here. If you want to add on to it, walk your feet out a little bit far from your hips so that they come into this 45-degree angle or maybe like a V. And then as you start to exhale, on your next exhale, use that to help push any air out of your lungs and your torso and start to lift the hips. Squeeze the glutes to help you lift a little bit higher. Your shoulders are going to rotate back, so let your shoulders rotate back and away from you. Push into your heels, lift your chest up, and keep your chin tucked, looking at your knees. If you have a little bit more opening or strength in your neck, feel free to lift the gaze up and back, but only if that feels safe for you. One more inhale, and exhale to release everything back onto the ground and come into a seated position. Another alternative I like to include here that helps me just feel a little more grounded, but it can also just put me right to bed. So depending what you're going to do later on, you can come into a legs up the wall. So if you want to just come up onto or near a wall, bring your hips to the wall and then lay down and kind of cartwheel your legs up. Or if you're on your mat and you're not close to a wall and you just want to do that, come to lying down. Option to bring your hands underneath your sitting bones, your glutes. Bring your hands into your knees, bring your knees into your chest. And then just lift the heels up to the sky. Knees can be bent here. But just coming into a mini inversion to allow your parasympathetic nervous system to slow, to allow your body to realize that it's time to rest and recover. And when you're ready to come out of that, you can bend your knees and roll over to one side. But again, that's completely optional, just giving you that option in case you do kind of want to wind down after you got a little bit energized. But if you're ready to continue on with your day, I fully encourage you to just sit here in a seated position for a moment and stay tuned into yourself. We'll take one more cleansing breath in together. Inhale in through the nose, breathing into the low belly, then filling up the chest, and then holding the breath. Hold it for 1 second. Then see if you can take another sip of air, and then exhale completely through your nose. Slowly. One more inhale in through the nose, fill up the entire low belly. Pause, hold the breath, take another sip of breath. And then this time, feel free to release it out through your mouth, sigh it all out. Thank you so much for joining me today, friends. I hope that this yoga class helped energize you, hopefully helped build a little bit of fire, a little bit of warmth inside you for those cold winter mornings. But otherwise, I'll leave you here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this served you well. Please send this to anyone who you think might enjoy it. Sending love and light to all beings everywhere. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I'd love to know how it went for you. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Thank you.